Hi, welcome to another episode of Crafting with Courtney. Today I am crafting some photos that we took when we went up to the Salt Lake City Comic-Con, which is now named Fan X. And one of the activities they had was you could make your own lightsaber out of a foam pool noodle. And then after you made it, you got to go to the Jedi training. And then, of course, you got to battle, which was my son's favorite part. So for this, I've already picked out the photos and I wanted to place the three of them. I felt like it kind of captured the whole event with him with the lightsaber and then the little practicing using the Force, as well as his favorite part, which was the battle. The kit that I'm using today is Sahlin Studio and British Designs collaboration, Project Mouse Galaxy. And for this one, I'm specifically using the Alphas, the Artsy, and the Enamel pins. All of these fun little pieces are part of the Artsy. I love that they include some of the designs and the paint feel to those pieces to go on the background. And then I was just clicking through to see which ones really fit this picture. It's intended to be one if you go to the Galaxy's Edge at Disney, but I find that a lot of their kits work for anything that's in that theme. For example, this is a Star Wars theme, and I've actually used a couple of their things from the Project Mouse Galaxy, and I've actually never been to the Galaxy's Edge, and I find it works really well for other things too. I've used it for a couple of Lego Land with the Star Wars display that they did a few years ago. And I decided that I wanted to do a really big title because I really do like the alpha combination that's included. So I shifted all my papers down to create room for that. And then I'm trying to use the Artsy just to bring in a little bit of color and see how I can offset the photos. There's so much going on in them and so many different colors, but I really liked seeing how those colors go together, so I didn't want to just make them all black and white. I love that they include these little bits that you can create your own scatters with it. I like to use a Fiddle-Dee-Dee Design scatter shadow on them. I feel like it gives it a good mix and lets it kind of stand out. And this used the Force. One of the things they were doing in that top photo is trying to use the Force to defeat the bad guys. For the alpha that's included, there's actually a glowy alpha, kind of like the lightsabers, and it's in a red and a blue. And then there's also a black and white alpha that's included that's more tall. So I decided to use a combination of all three of them together to create the title and help it to just stand out against the page. I'm not always a big title person, and sometimes I won't use a title at all on my pages, but for this one I really loved that alpha, so I wanted to use it as much as I could. I decided to just alternate the letters back and forth between the red and the blue, and then add the black and white one as the second part of the title. When I do my titles, I do like to put them in order on the side of the way that it reads, and part of that is the way that I like to use the distribution tools and the align tools, and I find they can work a lot better if I already have the letters all lined up, as opposed to when I don't, and then they don't quite align the way I want them to. For this one, I like to use the distribute because it does distribute it pretty decently, but then I did go ahead and just fix that little bit that I wanted to fix. And I knew that these would be big because it's a very big alpha, which I always like it being too big than too small because I can always make it smaller, but it's really hard to make it bigger. And then the black and white alpha is actually really large, as you can see. And so on the side, you'll just see me moving the letters around to make it fit the title that I end up using, which is Jedi Training. And I find it's easier to just duplicate the letters once I already have them on my layout than trying to pull in multiple of the same letters. So for each one of these, I did go ahead and each word is linked together because I find that can make it easier as well to just have to grab one letter to move it and adjust it slightly rather than having to grab each letter individually once I have it set up. And this one, when I went ahead and put it in, I didn't have it quite right, so when it distributed, it didn't quite distribute right the first time. And one of the things that I noticed when I was playing with this is I really liked how my title turned out, and I really liked using the little enamel pin on the side to help highlight the title. But I realized it didn't really stand out very well on that white background. So that's when I decided to go into the papers and start looking for more options to see what I could find rather than just leaving a plain white paper. And I do end up shifting everything down once more because I think it's just a little high and I really want room for that title. I'll end up doing a second page to go with this one of some of the other pictures that I took, because I took a lot of pictures of him playing this Jedi training as well as making the lightsaber, but these were a few of my favorites that I wanted to just kind of highlight larger. So the big title will work for both sides of the page on this one. Are you somebody who likes to do a lot of titles? I'm not always super creative with them, so a lot of times I just kind of say what is happening in the event, and sometimes I feel like a good title helps to make the page, but other times I feel like titles can just distract from it. And I thought about doing an outline on this and doing like a dark outer and a light inner, but that title, I just really wanted the Comic-Con part to kind of pop. And it just wasn't quite popping right for me on that geometric background. And that's when I decided to try the black. And I really love how with the black, that Comic-Con part just really pops, but that's when I noticed that the photo kind of got lost. So what I did is went ahead and used just the geometric because it was just a light color to help that photo stand out, while the three photos together stand out. And then I also just gave it a quick little stroke border to help it stand out as well. And then when I did this layout, I have sped up the video twice, so it's 2 times as fast as it did. It was a pretty quick layout for me to do, mostly because I already had an idea of what I wanted to work with and what I wanted the theme to be. And using all of those pieces together went really well. So for journal cards, sometimes I like to just use a journal card, just tuck it in and under, and then go ahead and just write on it. I picked this one specifically because it's mostly white at the bottom, and I didn't really need to bring in any more colors or patterns because all the artsy stuff I used was already pretty busy, and so I didn't need to add any more busy in any of the patterns that I normally like to stack. This is a handy little tool that I'll use for scatters a lot of times to just move 1 or 2 little pieces so that it fits better. This one I needed to move over so that there was room for the journaling, and then I also pulled that star down just so it kind of helped that journal card down at the bottom feel like it belonged. And the last layout I used some white journaling, so that's why my journaling wasn't visible at first. For this one, I just have a couple of lines to add to it. I like to add at least some journaling to pretty much every page, just so it's easier when somebody else is looking through the page. Or, for example, when my kid's looking at ones, he can remember what it was about, or he can see if there was a specific reason that it was cool, or where we were. This one, obviously, I put the where we were up at the top in the title, so it didn't need a whole lot extra. I do like to go ahead and add a date too, because that can help me when I am filing them all, as well as help me to remember when this actually occurred, because we've actually taken him to Comic-Con a couple of times, and sometimes he looks about the same age each time. For this one, I did make the date white and add an embossing style to kind of help it have that typewritten look. I feel that just added a slight little finishing touch. Did have to play with a couple of depths because of the black paper underneath. And that is it for this page. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you come back next time to see what I am crafting with Courtney. Thank you, and goodbye.